I'm going to begin with the words of our famous woman philosopher from the first part of 20th century, Ksenia Atanasievich, who warned, of course, thinking about coming Second World War, but it is very, how to say, applicable to our time. The time is tremendously serious, and this is not the time, the possibility of being carefree or light-hearted is totally, radically erased to us. We should be totally different. Our behavior and our concern on violence and on whole situation should be completely different. 20 years have passed since UN Security Council passed the landmark resolution of 1325 on women, peace and security, and gender analysis is still missing. And now we are forced to give a little bit pieces of gender analysis of the situation, having in mind first the violence against women. The implication of the COVID-19 for the women, peace and security agenda are visible in all its core pillars: protection, prevention, participation, and relief and recovery, generating wider impact of gender-based violence and response efforts. I won't speak about laws, bylaws, and other measures which still exist and exist since not only recently, but since long time. I would say something about the moment. What is not perceived in the moment, it is so-called inclusive security, meaning women are visible at the places of decision making. This is not anymore men's game. Although we all know who is the main gamer, but in his crew are also influential women. And being happy or not with their political profile, being on their political side or not, women are there. Prime Minister, doctors, epidemiologists, directors of clinics, many of them who appeared every day with various data are women. So this is something what is good. What is not good is high and increasing level of misogyny in public discourse, directed towards publicly visible women, but also to all women, women who came from abroad, women who are migrants, women who brought us the virus. Anyway, this is the situation. We all know, even before the situation, that the state of emergency might cause a rise in number of domestic violence cases. Women, children, and also other family members like elderly, like people with disabilities, are subjected to mental, physical, and sexual violence in situation of widely spread stress and home isolation. This can further escalate. What is important is that the government issued few times very serious warning against domestic violence and against the perpetrators of domestic violence. What is good? This is always good when I must say, be on the side, political side of current rulers or not. I want to ignore this fact completely in the moment. Now we are in the same boat. It is always good to have strong words against violence against women coming from the top, from the political top. And the president and also the Minister of Interior today, I heard him talking against the domestic violence and warning domestic perpetrators that there will be a very serious answer of the state institution against them. How it is working in practice, I can't say. I am 65 plus, so I'm completely in isolation, except of course internet. TV and telephone. So I live among three screens, telephone, television, and my computer. What is not to be ignored, but I can't do it by myself, any kind of direct physical investigation. Although, in spite of this, I think I have good data. Women's group gathered around the network of women against on violence against women reported that there are 3 times increase in calls of women than in other time, adding that this is worrisome, having in mind that the working hours of SOS in Belgrade, for example, is only morning, only before noon, meaning it doesn't work 24 hours as it used to be. So in this short period of time, there is very visible increase of calls. Another thing I would like to say, women who are, let's say, put in the same apartment with the violent perpetrators have difficulties to call. We all know that in a normal time they call when the perpetrators work or when he is somewhere of official travel, not in the same town. Now they have somehow to manage to call. And this is only the first step to organize any kind of strategy. Exit strategy is very difficult if you can't even go outside. What to do then, to whom to address if you can't go to nearest pharmacy or nearest ambulance. This is very difficult. There is no services for such cases. Private doctors ordinations don't work now because of measures against pandemic. So a lot of obstacles are between women who are victims of violence and possible measures to protect them. Also, in regard of shelters for battered women, there is I think on the first sight reasonable rule, meaning whoever wants to enter them should have evidence, medical evidence that she is not condemned with the virus. So how and where and when to issue this, and then with the paper to knock the door of the shelter. Also, if what happened with women who in a hurry left the home during the police hour, there is a petition signed by many women's organizations and individuals for police to let them break the police hours if they are in emergency situation, if they are escaping from violence. The other thing what is noticed is that there are many situations reported by women that after the divorce, men simply take children by themselves and don't want to obey the other rules of divorce plan, meaning children should spend this or that days or hours by the other parent. So some people don't want to let children going to their mothers. So mothers call centers for women, autonomous women center, and that's what it's called, Klein, asking for help. In the moment, we don't know what will actually happen. So there is also to make a step further regarding the current violent situation. So we have, just to mention, we have violent public discourse, misogynic public discourse against women. We have increase of private violence against women. Regarding women who are on duty, we have to say that the whole burden of fight against epidemic left very much of women's shoulders. I would mention women who are sellers, women who are medical workers, women who take care about persons with disabilities, women who take care about, as usual, to elderly members of family, to children. So this is extremely burden on their shoulders, and many of them also suffer violence. Even if it is verbal, if it is emotional, it is too much, and the whole situation is violence. Many of them are exposed to virus during these duties, and this is also kind of violence. I would like to mention just one more category of women who are not mentioned in the papers and reports. These are women who are members of peacekeeping forces, who are now in African countries, blocked because they cannot return home. They are exposed to epidemic there. In Congo, in some other countries, they're also exposed to extreme increase of violence in that places, that location of their services. And it is very, how to say, very not known. It is not known when and how they will return, and will this return be safe, and how is their situation right now. So they are also one of those women who are on duty. Regarding military personnel, soldiers are professionals. There are also women who are professionals, and not maybe time for not official data, but there are almost 1,000 soldiers who are, among them women, of course, who are sick in the moment during due to duties which they do on the first front line, fighting for preparing hospitals and quarantine camps for those who are coming from abroad. If I have more time, Natasha, do I have more time? Okay, I would just like to mention that violence is a matter and the duty of state. State should do something in regard of maybe more stronger measures. Also, media has a role to announce where, how, to whom to address. If I suffer violence right now, doesn't matter that I'm so-called expert for violence, I wouldn't know to whom to call, where to go, what documents to have. So let's bring those information publicly visible and acceptable everywhere. And I regret that we haven't this nice measure in pharmacies, which is now in some countries, I think in Spain or some other France, other countries, when you go to pharmacy and just say number 19 or some other or ask for a red mask or some other password.
Some other code, yeah.
Yes, code which meaning I'm suffering violence right now, help me. In the moment, we don't have this kind of initiative. And this is also something what is up on non-governmental organization and civil sector to organize this, and the state to be responsible.